Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and to this series of videos where I teach you how to succeed in corporate Japanese culture. Today we are going to talk about a very important topic: what communication skills you need to succeed in Japan. This is something that is not talked about very often. I personally learned about it just through my experience, just learning about how Japanese people behave in business communication and corporate settings. So you can think about it as a very inside knowledge that is only attainable if you are here. So I hope you'll find it useful. And if you have clicked this video, you probably think about working in Japan, maybe already working in Japan, maybe struggle with your Japanese colleagues, or maybe you watched all these anxiety-inducing movies like Fear and Trembling, where a young white woman working in Japanese office gets bullied for pretty much everything she does. And I can assure you it's not that bad in real life, but there are some moments in Japanese business etiquette, communication that you should really know. Otherwise, you'll find it really hard to live and work in Japan. So let's not waste time and let's go. If you think reading kanji is hard, try reading the air. This is one of the most important and basic skills in Japan in business communication, and what it means is not literally reading the air, of course, but more like reading the room, understanding what is going on, what is said without being said, and what hints and clues your partner is giving you that you should understand. Basically, understand what is said that is not being said. Maybe like reading between the lines, but in a really hard mode. Let me give you an example.
田中さん、こちらのプロジェクトの企画を提案させていただきますね。ご意見いただけますでしょうか。
おい、ダイヤさん、ご提案ありがとう。確認したけど、保険会社に確認しないといけないこともあるんですね。あと、A 方と B 方に許可いただかないといけないしね。難しいかな。
そうなんですね。失礼いたしました。
So what happened here? So when I make a proposal to my boss about some kind of plan, instead of saying no, he would rather point out to different reasons why it's hard to proceed with this plan, and they are not necessarily real or reasonable. And as you have just seen in my little sketch, you might need to get some permissions that are really difficult to get, or take time, or the date is not right. So it usually means, of course, it's kind of like a short representation of it, but it usually means that the boss doesn't like the whole idea of your plan, and you don't have to like go ahead and like ask the permission from these people or change the date. It's just the plan is not good. Of course, this is kind of like very simple representation of what I'm trying to say, and necessarily if your boss pointing out to some like problems in your plan, maybe he really wants to fix it, but you should be able to read whether this is A or B, just based on his like verbal and non-verbal signals. So this indirectness of Japanese language is really common, and a lot of words are not said directly to you, but rather in some vague, ambiguous way.
高橋さんもう帰るの？いつも時間ぴったりね。しっかりしてるわ。
Leaving at sharp 5? Are you serious? Show some commitment.
新しいスタイルのオフィスウェアなのね。若いっていいわ。何でも似合って。
That's way too casual for office.
いつもすっごい丁寧に資料作ってくれて助かるわ。真面目にやってるのね。
Can you just work faster?
Sounds difficult, isn't it? This isn't something you learn from a Japanese textbook, and honestly even Japanese language classes usually don't teach this kind of stuff. Back when I was in the university, I didn't have a native Japanese language teacher, so while I knew some grammar and vocabulary, I really struggled with conversation, and when I came to Japan, I had a lot of these moments where I couldn't understand what people really wanted from me, and it really took me a long time to bridge this gap. And if you want to avoid this long and, believe me, not fun path, I recommend you start talking and practicing with native Japanese speakers as soon as possible. And that's why I recommend italki, the sponsor of today's video. Italki is an online platform where you can have one-on-one lessons with native Japanese teachers. They can guide you through vocabulary, grammar, conversation skills, and also these cultural clues that are not available in textbooks. I really love how flexible they are. You can pick your time, your teacher, place, and even your budget. Lessons start from $10 and you can pay per session, so it's really easy to fit into your daily routine. And needless to say, the real conversation improves your speaking and listening skills much better than studying with a textbook by yourself or with non-native speakers.
人の流行りは分かんないので。
若いじゃないですか。もう少しネイティブっぽくなるためにはどこが改善すればいいですか？
イントネーションの高さが高い言葉が多いです。なので日本語は最初が高くなることはほとんどありません。
私ということはダメということです。
私は OK です。ほとんどフラットです。
You can also power up your studies with italki Plus. This is an AI-powered tool that helps you track your progress, get personalized lesson summaries, practice between lessons, get flashcards, and so much more. This is a great way to stay consistent and make the most out of your learning. So if you're serious about learning Japanese and want to move here in Japan, check the link in my description, book a trial lesson, and start your journey in learning Japanese. And exclusively for my subscribers, use this promo code TANYA5 to get $5 free when you make a purchase of $10 and more for your first order in italki. Another skill that you absolutely need in Japan to survive here is to become comfortable with silence. If you ever talk to Japanese people before, you may have noticed that they use a lot of like filler words like hai とかそうなんですか とか. But in fact, this doesn't happen in business communication very often, especially between the parties that are not very familiar with each other. So for example, with the other company or the other department, a lot of people will just stare blankly when you are saying something. Growing up, a lot of us were told to be assertive, to always speak our mind, to be the loudest person in the room. But in fact, this doesn't work in Japan. Here, you don't assert your power through a loud voice or interrupting other people. In fact, one of my biggest cultural shocks was when I just started working here. The people actually let me finish my thought, which were sometimes very incomplete, and I kind of expected the other party to jump in and finish the thought for me. And at first it was really awkward because I was like, do they not like what I'm saying? Do they not listening? But in fact, this is just a culture of respect to the other people's opinion. So unlike in my own country, people don't overlap you and they don't try to jump in the conversation, finish sentence for you, or input their opinion before you even finish your own. So what you need to do is not only to learn how to be heard, how to be listened to without being interrupted, but also to listen to other people and not interrupt them as well. Always let the other party to finish their sentence fully. After they finish talking, I recommend waiting a few seconds just to make sure that you don't have a follow-up thought. So this is a trick you can use in your business communication as well. So I know silence can be very uncomfortable for many of us. Many of us may feel like awkward just having any silence in the room, but trust me, this is completely normal in Japanese business setting. So you don't have to feel awkward, don't jump in, don't rush to fill it in. Just let the situation unfold by itself. Okay, that was silence. Let's go to the next one. As a person who really hates stereotypes about Japan, I used to laugh when people told me that Japan is a very harmonious country that values harmony. A lot of Japanese people used to tell me that, and I would be like, what? Like, karoshi, death from overworking, harassment is so common in Japanese work culture. How can it be harmonious? Well, turns out that harmony as I understand it and what Japanese people understand it, especially in business, is completely different. And this is very important to understand for those who want to work here. Think of an ocean. Deep down, it's chaotic. Animals are eating each other, there are currents. But outside, on the surface, it's calm and peaceful and very smooth and flat. This is the kind of harmony that Japanese companies want to maintain. Keeping a face of that everything is smooth, good, and nothing bad is happening, even though inside, so deep down, there might be a lot of conflicts going on. And what it means, the harmony is not only the harmony for other people to see, so for the outside of the company, but also between the departments, between the people themselves. In other words, it means approaching conflicts in a way that doesn't make the waves. Do not stir waters that everyone can see. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't speak up when something unfair happened to you, but it means that you should find the good timing and the right choice of doing it. So slamming the doors, hammering on your desk, screaming, crying, showing emotions is not acceptable in Japanese setting. Especially as a foreigner, if you're going to show off your emotions and that you're really unhappy, this will only give you a bad reputation of someone who cannot control their emotions, just like a child. And this might lead to really bad consequences, like people avoiding you or not wanting to work with you anymore. And you don't want to be told that, well, this is a gaijin, right? So for example, if you don't like someone's idea or you think it's unfair, instead of saying this is unfair, I reject it, or this is wrong, you could say something like, this idea seems a bit of off to me, how about changing it to this or that, will it cause some problems? And this more of an indirect way of leading the person that is offending you into something different. And this is especially important when you're talking to other people in public, so in front of your other colleagues. To be honest, this is still something I sometimes struggle to do, especially when I'm frustrated. Sometimes I really fail to hide it. And lastly, attention to details. This might sound like a line in a resume that no one really cares about and everyone just puts in just it to be there. But in fact, this is really, really important in Japan. And this is not something that is a virtue. This is basically expected from every worker, including part-timers. Frankly, it was a bit of a cultural shock when I came here, and in my first job, everyone just pulled out their small little notebooks and started taking notes of what the manager was saying. And as unprepared as I am, I was carrying this huge notebook with me and trying to write down something. Later, I learned that everyone in Japan, including part-timers, carry this little memojo, this little notebook with them, and write down everything the manager says. In many countries, including mine, it's okay to ask a manager after they explain it to you if you haven't understood it. In Japan, this is a little more tricky. Of course, if you don't understand something, and it's better to ask again rather than make a mistake, but you might be thought as careless or not attentive enough if you do that. Because during the explanation, the manager expects you to write down every detail and also ask questions if you don't understand something. And that's it. I had a conversation with my Japanese colleague another day, and she told me why a manager should waste their time on you explaining the same thing over again if they already told it once. Of course, it wasn't said to me like in an accusatory way. I was just talking about this culture of small little notes, and I said that in my country this is completely normal to ask again. But in Japan, it's a really, really high standard of what attention to details mean. And it is really a part of everyday business communication. If your manager or your client said something to you, you're supposed to remember it, whether it's a name or a date or a place or something else. I still struggle, to be honest, to write it down because I haven't trained as long as Japanese people did, and also it's a foreign language, so always a struggle. So what I recommend you if you're planning to come to Japan and you want to really succeed here is to train yourself to take notes of whatever you hear. For example, if you open an audio in Japanese or you practice with your tutor, you can have them tell you something like instructions and you write them down one by one and practice this kind of writing skill and listening at the same time. So I know that Japanese communication, especially in business, can be really tricky, but I hope you found this video useful. Let me know if you know other tips of what is important in Japanese business communication. Write it down in comments, push the button to give me a like, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Thank you so much, and I will see you again.